Now let's take a look at what will happen when the government puts forward expansionary monetary policy. What exactly does it do? All right, check out this slide. Now, the best thing you can do right now is just relax and know that this slide's available to you in the associated places in this course, right? Basically in the next tab down from this video. Okay, but just try to take all of this in. I'll set up a whole scenario, and in the end, you're going to see that it's actually quite simple. Okay, so expansionary monetary policy. What is the assumption? We are going to assume that the economy is experiencing a demand-deficient recession, and therefore unemployment is greater than the natural rate. Demand deficient. So unemployment greater than the natural rate. What have we always said? 8%. There is deflation, prices are going down, and output is below the full level of employment. So basically, we're talking about a situation, if you can take a look at this graph, where here's where the economy was and aggregate demand dropped. As a result, there's an increase in unemployment and a decrease in the average price level or deflationary pressure. Jason Welker, you nailed it with this diagram and putting all of this together so that students can see it. Thank you very much. All right, so what does that mean? All right, where does this story begin? I'll tell you where the story begins. This story begins right here, okay? So what this is right here is the money market, and this is loanable funds. So this is the government's, this is the market for money. Right? And we have a downward sloping demand curve, which is the demand for money. And this is the demand, or rather, the supply of money set by the government. Right? And as a result of that, there is an interest rate. This is where the story begins. At SM1, Q1, this is the quantity of money that was flowing in the circular flow model before the recession. Okay? And therefore, we can then say that the interest rate, make that a little bigger, the interest rate was IR1, and that transfers over to the loanable funds market, meaning loanable funds, a fancy way of saying like the market for borrowing money, okay? Of all kinds of money, but borrowing money, all right. And then guess what? There was a recession, right? There was a recession, demand-deficient recession, unemployment went up, it's at 8%, there's deflation, oh my goodness, output is down, and we're looking at a situation where the government must take action to help the economy move aggregate demand back outwards. So what do? They quickly move to increase the money supply by moving the quantity of money available in the economy outward to the level of Q2, which would drive down prices for money, drive down the interest rate to what? Well, to the intersect of the demand for money and the supply of money. By increasing the supply, money became cheaper and more of it was borrowed. And so what would that do? That would have the effect of dropping interest rates, which would increase the amount of money being borrowed in the economy from Q1 to Q2. Dude, check it out. They lowered interest rates by increasing the supply of money. If you increase the supply of anything, you will lower the price. The interest rate, the price of money, went down. As a result of the price of money going down, there was an increase in the quantity of money borrowed. Check it. In the increase in the quantity of the money borrowed out to Q2. And what did that do? Oh my goodness gracious. As a result of an increase in the money supply, there's going to be a lower interest rate, which equals an increase in the quantity of funds demanded, borrowed money, which will equal an increase in consumption and investment. Ooh, that was the last video. Yes. and therefore an increase in aggregate demand back out to the full level of employment, right? Which is, of course, right there, where the story began, which is at the full level of output, because this aggregate demand as a result of a decrease in the interest rate meant that more people borrowed money, and by borrowing more money because the price was lower, aggregate demand went outward up to the full level of employment, which means that the economy is running at its most long-term, effective, allocatively, efficiently perfect point, which is at the point where you have 2% growth, 2% inflation, 5% unemployment. And that, my friends, is a killer representation of an entirely abstract and multi-layered facet of your studies of macroeconomics. And let me just ask you a quick question before we go to the next video. Could you have done that when you started this bundle? There's no way, my friends. So look at how far you've come. Congratulations. See you in the next video.